to share with you and help you get through this time and have the opportunity to really be able to make an impact on other people's lives, as well as, have an impact on your own, right? And how to get through this tough situation right now. So we're going to get started if everyone's okay with it. We've got a couple more folks coming in. What I would love to start with is for everyone to talk about, I think gratitude is a huge part of what we do here. And I'm having some trouble going live here. So if you see me struggling a little bit, it's not working for some reason or another. So we'll just nix that idea, I guess. So when we're talking about the current environment that we're in right now, it's easy to think that there's no way to succeed and no way to really come out ahead here. But we're going to talk about ways that you can. And if we can, in the chat box here, I would love to start with a little gratitude. So if you can all there's a chat box. If you have not used Zoom before, you'll see that it's right along the panel here, and you'll be able to click it and go into the chat box and make sure you pick to all panelists and attendees. And please write in the chat box something that we are grateful for today. It could be little or big, doesn't matter. It could be something that you're grateful for or something that you want to celebrate, something that you're happy or proud of yourself about. So please share it and write in for all panelists and attendees so that everyone can see and be inspired by what you're saying. And thank you, Sharon. She said she's grateful for the sunshine here today, which is awesome. I 100% agree with that. Then we woke up healthy and safe. That's something for which to be grateful. Being alive, healthy and safe. Definitely a common thread here, right? So yeah, keep posting in there, guys. The more you engage, the more we'll get out of this, and forcing ourselves to focus on gratitude is a wonderful thing to do here. So Kelly says that I'm happy that I've had more time in my vegetable garden this year than any other in the last 10 years that you've had it. Wonderful. So we're grateful for laughter, laughing, love bugs. Of course, Alik and Lauren, fantastic. So thank you all for participating. I'm loving seeing all your responses. The college kids are home, happy that they're safe. So thank you guys for sharing things that you're grateful for. That's a wonderful perspective. You might have seen this slide that I have up here. It's who do I want to be during COVID-19? You may or may not have seen this, but I absolutely love this, and I wanted to share with you because I think it's something for us to focus on. It's obviously unprecedented times that we're in, and let me start by expressing my, my concern for those that are going through tough times right now. Obviously, we have a lot of folks that are impacted from a health perspective as well as financially, and we're praying for all those people that are sick and hurt and that are going through tough times mentally as well. Of course, this can be challenging. So everyone's in our prayers, and we're all looking to get through this as fast as we can, of course. But during this time, we have to make a decision, and we have to decide who we want to be as we get through this time right now. I have 100% confidence that this will not last forever. Do you guys agree, right? We are going to get through this, and I have 100% confidence that we will. So the question really is, how do we want to behave during this time when we are in this period? Do we want to live in the fear zone, the learning zone, or the growth zone? And that is something that each and every one of us has control over. Things are ugly, and things are going to get a little uglier from what everyone says, right? So it's not a fun world as far as that goes, and we're surrounded by a lot of negative things, and people, the way that the death tolls have been rising in New Jersey alone, chances are somebody that's been impacted or have been impacted yourself through an immediate family member. So it's tough, but we have to decide if we want to live in the fear zone or if we want to be in learning and in growth mode. So for those that want to be in growth mode, you're in the right place, because that's what we're talking about right here, right now, okay? Is we're going to talk about living in that growth world. And that's where opportunity lies for you to develop as a human being, for you to impact other people's lives, and for us to go out and do wonderful things for everybody right now. And everyone needs it right now. So that's what we want to focus on. Does that sound good? Give me a thumbs up or some sort of a yay, nay, that this is what you want to be here talking about right now with us. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Kelly. Okay. So let's jump in then. Okay. And thank you. Thank you for the yeses that are coming in. I appreciate it. And I'm happy to share this with you then. So what we're going to go into then is how do we come into growth mode right here, right? How do we survive there? How do we thrive there? So the first thing is we want to do is embrace the F word. And for those of you who know me, I don't say the F word, but fear is the F word that I'm talking about in case you don't know. And fear is, it's easy to get caught up in it, and it's easy to let that take over and let that, you know, it's a normal human reaction, right? It's something that happens for everybody. It's the way that human beings have evolved, but it also impairs our judgment, right? And it has us make decisions that may not always be the best for us, and that we look back on and say, that's not really what I wanted to do. If I could have thought about it, that's probably not what would have happened. So the F word that I'd like you to embrace is not fear, but faith. Faith. And I'm not talking about religious necessarily. If you believe in a God, you know, definitely now is a great time to have that faith grow stronger, but it doesn't have to be God. It can just be faith in the universe, the world, science, whatever it is that you believe in, humanity, yourselves, you know, just the faith that as human beings, we are going to come out of this. Faith that as human beings, we're going to be stronger on the other end of this, because we have always overcome obstacles, and you have always overcome obstacles. If I can ask you for a minute to think about a time in your life that you had an obstacle or a challenge that seemed unsurmountable, that you did not know how you were going to get past it, but you did, right? So think about what you went through and how you have come past it to be where you are today. I'm going to give you a second to think about that, because I bet if you do, you probably will come up with something. Am I right? Most people have come up with something, I'm guessing. Yep, I see a couple of yeses coming in. So if we hang on to that faith and let that faith be what guides us right now, that's when we have a chance to come out stronger and to be able to live in this world of growth, right? So anytime fear, and fear is a normal reaction, by the way. So everyone has moments of fear, but when those moments come, that's when we have to turn to faith and remember that we're not going to let fear control us. And we can say, thank you, but goodbye, fear. I'm not going to let you own me. I have faith, and I'm going to let this be what owns me. So if you walk away with nothing but just that, I think this will be time well spent, but we've got more. So for faith, for sure, is a huge way for us to carry on here. So then how are we going to do that, right? So once we've embraced the faith of that we're going to get through this, that we're going to come out stronger after this, the next step is let's implement our 3 Ps. And if you have a pencil, now's a great time to grab it. Write down these 3 Ps. And let these 3 Ps be your motto as we go through here. Protect, pivot, and profit. And let's talk about each of these in detail, okay? So there's protect, pivot, and profit. What do I mean by protect? And if you'd like to write three letters underneath it, when I talk about protect, pivot, and profit, there's actually 3 things that we're going to talk about. So on protect, the first thing is you have to protect yourself. So the first thing we want to do is protect ourselves. And, you know, you've all heard this analogy probably by now 1,000 times over, but we have to protect ourselves first, just like when the oxygen mask comes down, right, in an airplane, what do you have to do? You put it on yourself first. And why is that so important? It's important because that is how we get to go serve others. So how do you protect yourself? You eat healthy, you exercise, you meditate, or however it is that you take care of your mind. You spend time with family in your house and virtually connect with the people that you want to connect with. You practice social distancing, right? Get fresh air, dress up a little bit. Even if you're at home, dress up a little bit, because you will find that when you do, you'll feel better. You'll feel better about yourself. Do your hair, do your makeup, put on a nice shirt, whatever it is that makes you feel better about yourself. Do it, because you will find that it will help you feel like you're in a better mental state. This is a huge one. Limit news and social media consumption. I know when all this first started, I was guilty of it, constantly checking every, news article that came out, constantly checking social media and all my text messages and WhatsApp messages and like millions of forms of communication. And because you wanted to know, you wanted to try and figure this out, you wanted to try and understand it, we want to do that. And it is important to know and have a pulse on what's going on, but we have to limit the consumption of the negative information that we're allowing into our minds on a regular basis. So make sure that you are constantly monitoring what is going on mentally for you, and make sure that you're, protecting yourself and allowing only certain information to be filtered in. And this is another really tough thing, but also the people that you're interacting with. If you have some really negative people in your life right now, I would love nothing more than for you to be able to uplift them. But if it becomes that you're just not able to make an impact on them and they keep dragging you down in every conversation that you have, you need to think about whether it's serving you to be able to be interacting with these individuals at this time. So, ideally we're lifting people up, but certain people just don't want to be lifted and they want to live in the negative world. And we can't let that ruin your ability to stay positive and to be able to come through this and to be able to help and impact other people, because one person does not let you help them. So remember that. Don't let the one or two people who are not receptive to you trying to help, bring you down. And then limit screen times. And screen time, obviously, for when we're talking about the social media that we just talked about, but also other screens in general. It's easy to just watch tons of TV. Everyone, if you're on the social media, everyone's talking about all the different shows on Netflix and whatnot. And it's great to have a little outlet, but make sure, be in the spirit of doing the other things that we just talked about here about eating well and exercising and meditating. We can't just be watching TV all the time, as easy as it is to do, right? And then this is a super huge one. Practice grace with yourself and with others. The with yourself is a really challenging thing for those of us that are very critical of ourselves often, and like I am. and those that, if you're a high achiever, then you're probably have these great expectations of yourself. And you have to realize that we're living in an unprecedented time right now, and you may be giving grace to other people, but not to yourself. So allow yourself a little grace and allow yourself some room to make mistakes, to not be perfect. We're in different times right now. We have to make some concessions, right? And we definitely have to push ourselves, but we do have to give ourselves some grace as well. So when I say protect, the first thing to protect is yourself, okay? So under protect, number one is yourself. Number two is your family. And if you have a team, your team, right? So make sure you protect your family and your team, and you're doing all these things for yourself and checking in on the mental health of your team, as well as making sure everything's going well there. Obviously, you're probably doing it for your family, but your team as well, if you are a team leader or office manager. And then your clients. Now, I know that as agents, you're used to putting your clients first all the time. And that's commendable, but just remember that if you don't have your own oxygen mask on first, it is hard to take care of other people. If you are not in a good mental state, if you are not going to be able to serve them well, it's not going to do any good for your clients. So make sure you're taking care of yourselves, okay? It is definitely a difficult time. We can get through it if we take care of ourselves and then take care of other people. So protect yourself, your family and team, and protect your clients, okay? And by the way, if you have any questions at any point or comments, feel free to put them into the chat box here, and I'll definitely respond accordingly. So I'm new to webinars, since this environment started, and I miss the interaction of being able to interact with you guys. So definitely type in comments, let me know that you're here, that you're engaging. And if you have questions, I would love to hear what those are. Okay, so protect. So the next thing is pivot, right? I said the 3 Ps. The next one is P, and I just gave you an example of how I've pivoted, right? Never did a webinar before in my life before this whole thing started. And now this is what I'm doing because it's the only way for me to be with you in this environment right now and to be able to help you. So, so pivot means be flexible, right? Be open to new ways of doing things. And here's, again, I don't know if I put it on my list, but having grace, this is extremely important in here because we have to have grace for ourselves. When we're pivoting, that means we're reacting really quick to something. It's not going to be perfect, okay? Just remember that. You're in a situation where your speed of response is going to be more important than how perfect it is. You're not going to have time. If you're somebody who likes to get everything just right and you like to make sure that you've analyzed it and tested it and researched it, we don't have time for that. And even the scientists, right? If the scientists were doing all that, we would never find, and they did all the proper thorough tests that they normally do and the full controlled trials and all the research they do to find the virus, we would be here forever. We wouldn't have the, we wouldn't be able to ever get past this. So similarly, you, with respect to how you're dealing with life, how you're dealing with your family, how you're dealing with your clients, how you're dealing with your business, need to pivot. And it may not be perfect, but it's important. The speed of response is more important than ever rather than the perfect implementation. So keep that in mind as you're pivoting and not feeling sure if you should do X or not feeling sure if you should do Y. The cool thing is everybody understands right now, right? And thank you, Beth. She told me that I'm doing great. And I appreciate that because you recognize that I'm not a webinar speaker. This is not what I do all the time, but this is my pivot to try to be able to go out and impact people, right? So you're not expecting for perfection out of me, just like no one's expecting for perfection out of you. So give grace to yourself again, and give grace to others, of course, but give grace to yourself and don't expect yourself to be perfect as you're going on and pivoting. And practice and manage your perspective and your gratitude. Ooh, sorry. Manage your perspective and gratitude, okay? And it all starts with the stories that we tell ourselves, right? And the state that we're in. So we can sit here and say that this sucks, right? I'm home, I can't go out and show homes, I can't go out and list homes, I can't go have the meetings, can't go to my networking things. This sucks. Like, that's one approach, right? Does that serve anybody to have an approach like that? No, not at all. You don't help yourself and you don't help the people that you can be helping if we think of it that way. So we have to change our story to, well, here we go. I have an opportunity to learn some new skills. I have an opportunity to try something different. I have an opportunity to impact people in a way I've never done. Maybe I can find new ways that I can do business even after all this is over. So that's what this can be. And that perspective will leave you in a different way of thinking and help you develop different strategies when you are in that sort of mindset, when you've got that story that you've created, rather than the story of, well, you know what, maybe I need to leave real estate. This is really going to be hard. Like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know what life is going to be like. We can go down that path, but it's not going to serve you well. So definitely make sure that the story that you're telling yourself is one that leads you to opportunity and that empowers you, and not one that's going to limit you, right? You've probably heard this for any Tony Robbins fans out there. He calls it limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs. Right now, you need to create for yourself empowering beliefs. And there's some, when we talk about pivot too, there's some things that are a given that you need to think about and do. So 100% need to stop all routine marketing and all autoresponders, right? If you have routine marketing that says, come to my open house on Sundays, or come to my, we've got free giveaways for baseball season because baseball season's around the corner. Well, unfortunately, there's no baseball games going around. So that would be an insensitive message to send out right now. So make sure that the content that you are delivering is sensitive and appropriate for the environment that we're in right now. If you have autoresponders that say, I'm out meeting clients, I'm showing homes, I'm at appointments, right? Because you had an autoresponder set up. That's wonderful that you had autoresponders. That's a beautiful thing to have. But right now you may want to adjust the content of what's going on there. So you probably, hopefully have all done this already. But if you didn't, absolutely 100% make sure you get that done. And what you want to start doing right now is focusing on helping other people and connecting, right? I say start from your inner circle, start really small and expand outward. So make sure that all the ones closest to you, you've taken care of, and start going outward and make sure you can go and take care of other people and focus on connecting with as many people as you can. Some folks are embracing things like Zoom and other options to stay connected, and other folks are curling up in a ball, but they are dying for connection. So be that connection for them. And you don't know who needs you right now, but just go out and connect. And I promise you that you will feel good for having done it, and people will thank you for having done it as well. Somewhere, someone's going to thank you. Some people may be inundated with phone calls, but there's that one person that you're going to call or connect with that's going to say, I really needed this today, thank you. And you're going to feel so good for having done that, and you'll want to do more. So make sure you're connecting and focusing on helping people right now. And when I say people, I'm talking about your clients as well, of course, right? And prospects. And then if you haven't already, make sure you've built an at-home routine. And I'll talk a little bit about that, but you should definitely have a routine for how to operate in this environment, because this is our new norm, right? Or at least our temporary norm. And it's no longer snow days. It's no longer a little break or a vacation, right? We're going to be in this world for a little bit. So make sure that you've developed some sort of pattern and routine that helps you thrive and succeed and be productive in this environment, right? It may include building in time for homeschooling your children if you've got little ones, right? It may involve time to make sure you're taking care of your parents if you're there, and if you're sandwich generation, you're doing both, right? So make sure you built in time for those things that have to happen right now in this norm, and then also build time for the productivity and active activity that needs to happen as far as work goes. And then I said this before, but stop and remove all negative people and influences. It's already challenging. We don't need folks bringing us down right now, okay? It's already a challenging time. There's enough, just being, right, as far as negative news. So you need everything you possibly can. Surround yourself with as much positivity as you can, because that is going to be essential, right? Even for those of you that know me, I'm an extremely positive person, and it takes a lot to get me down. But there's been moments, many moments in this time where I've needed a boost, and surrounding myself with people that are positive has been what's helped me through it. So make sure you do the same thing and surround yourself with positivity, because it's so important, and remove all negative influences right now. So when we talk about routines, right? How do we manage ourselves and our households right now? I talked about routines. So routines are, as I said, super, super important right now. If you had a morning routine, make sure you're practicing it right now. It doesn't mean that you drop it because you don't have to go into work or you don't have appointments. So absolutely make sure you're keeping up your morning routine. And if you didn't have one, now you have time to develop one. So make sure you do. If you have not read the book, Miracle Morning, there's a Miracle Morning for real estate agents as well. So definitely pick up that book, but he talks about savers as a way to have some elements that should be included in your morning routine. Mine includes meditation, mine includes exercise, and it includes a little health, which is drinking a glass of water. So that's what mine is. It's pretty simple. It's not long, but it's important for me because it gets my day started off on the right side. And I still practice it very much so right now. I was up at 6, went out for my run this morning and meditated, and that's how I got my day started. And it helps me be on track and on pace and being able to deliver what I am for you right now. Evening and wind down routines are important as well. When you're home all the time, it's easy to keep working. It's easy to work, right? So you want to make sure that you're giving yourself unwind time as well, and that you've got routines for how you're going to, maybe not be on screens right before you go to bed, right? Limit the news consumption, limit your negative intake before you go to bed. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're making your plan for the next day too. So those are some wonderful things that you can be doing that'll help you maintain some sort of routine and maintain some normalcy during this time. And Sunday weekly planning. Again, if you have not been doing some of these things, this is a wonderful opportunity to build those habits that'll carry you into, when we get back to real normal, right? So if you have not already done these, and I promise you, if you do these things on a regular basis, you will see your output increase significantly. Your satisfaction, your fulfillment, all of that will increase when you have routines in place like this. And along those lines is time blocking. If you are not time blocking already, again, super, super critical right now to be time blocking, because there's so many distractions all the time. And if you're home and you have other people in the house with you, children, parents, spouses, and depending on what they have going on, they're going to be vying for your attention. So you need to make sure that you build time blocks for yourself to get done the things that you have to do. And again, if you have other people in the house, family meetings is a great idea. Check in on everybody. Even the little ones, you know, everyone needs a little me time, for example, right? And if you are a couple and you've got kids in the house, you've had no privacy for all this time, right? So you've got to figure out how to get date nights and figure that out, have some structure, assign responsibilities, even to the youngest of folks. They can do a little something, right? Depending on how little your kids are. You know, get input on meals, create fun new activities or hobbies, and identify spaces for everybody, even if, again, your space is small. But if you can say that this is my little space and I get to do what I want in here, and this is where I go when I need to retreat, everyone needs that because we're together all the time. So make sure that you've got those little things set up so that as a household, you can be living happily. And think of fun little activities too. Someone told me that what they were doing is at dinner time, they decided that each day was going to be about a different member of their house, and they conveniently had 5 members in their household. So Monday was Mom's Day, and so at dinner they made the meal that Mom liked the most, and they all said something nice about Mom at dinner. I thought that was really nice, right? And then Tuesday was about, you know, child 1, child 2, child 3, and then Dad. And so every day they made the meal that that person liked, and then all the other members said something nice about that person. So that was a small little thing that they did. Some people I've heard do like little theme nights and theme days, and today's hat day. And you can do this with your, if you have a team again, folks, then, you know, like today's hat day, so everyone wear a hat on our Zoom calls, right? So you can do little things like that that'll help you be able to keep spirits up and make sure that everyone's doing what they want. And you might get sick of hearing me say this, but have grace for yourself and others. So I can't say that enough. Any questions, pop them in, by the way, or anything you want to add, or something that you've got worked out that's helped you that you want to share with folks, you can put it into the chat box. And then when it comes to your home office, again, I'm hoping by this time you've done a lot of these things already, but make sure you have a dedicated workspace and that you've organized it and keep it clean. Again, being in that same place all the time, it's important to have a clean space because you will feel better about it. Control the environment as much as possible, which means things like either putting up a door or a curtain if you don't have a door, a sign on the door that says, I am working now. So little things like this will help you be able to separate yourself from, you know, from work and home. If you need to do any upgrade to technology so that you can work effectively, make sure you do that. Obviously, you want to have a good webcam right now. If you're sharing spaces, you might need some noise canceling headphones, right? And if you haven't already learned how to share screens, how to use Zoom, then learn that. And you'll see my phrase again there, have grace with yourself, because if you're new to it, have never done it before, it's going to take a little bit of time to learn it. So be patient, you know, and if you know how to do it, help somebody that doesn't. So let's all work together to be able to embrace some of these new technologies. And then there's a whole bunch of different apps and tools that you can use, and timers to help you be focused is a wonderful app. So take advantage of that. But if there's other things you want to do, that use timers so that you can make sure that you're staying productive, because the distractions are plentiful in this environment right now. So you need to make sure that you're finding ways to discipline yourself more than you've ever had to. Obviously, as agents, that's been the number one thing. You know, you have to always be disciplining yourself. But now it's more important than ever. So make sure you're using tools. And you know, routines, I said, have an opening, a closing, and a break time. Have those set and have routines for them. I was talking to a friend of mine who works at Johnson & Johnson, and who said that they have actually implemented a rule that they're not allowed to have meetings between 12 and 1 because they're forcing a break time so that people can go out and either have their lunch, be with their family since they're all home, or go for a walk, whatever they want to do, because otherwise it was easy to just work the whole time. But when you are working, make sure that you're not doing household chores. So really have a fine line and a separation between work time and home time, because the environment is the same, and it's easy to just mix the two together and feel like you're home all the time and like you're working all the time. So if you separate them, then you'll feel the separation of home and work. So don't do household chores while you're working. And then pretend you're not working. I mean, pretend you're not at home. Dress up, right? And as I said, at least from the waist up. I am wearing sweatpants in case you're wondering here. But I did dress up waist up so that it feels better, like that I'm at work. And no non-business appointments during work time. So again, because you're home, it can be, oh, well, mom called or my friend called while I'm working. But if you're on work time, you can pick up the phone, make sure they're okay, and tell them that you're working and you will call them later, because you want to make sure that you're staying focused on what you wanted to accomplish during your work time. And be as consistent as possible with your schedule, because that'll also help you feel like you're being more productive and give you a greater sense of fulfillment. And then, you know, as part of your end of day routine, I always, for myself, have a planner. It's right here too. And I always write like my top 3 in here of my next day's routines, or my top priorities for the next day. So that this way you leave that in your planner, in your notebook, on a notepad, whatever. And then it clears your mind a little bit, so you don't have to try to remember what you have to do when you start working again the next day. So always make your top 3 list of priorities before the day ends for yourself. Okay. So how many of you guys have hosted, I'm sure you're all here, so you've definitely used Zoom, but how many folks have hosted some sort of Zoom or online meeting at this point? If you can put into the chat group if you've hosted one, or if you've initiated one, I would love to know how many folks are already doing this. It'll help me figure out how deep I should go on this topic. 2 folks raised their hands. That means you've already hosted it. Great. Anyone else? Okay. So if you have not already, congrats, excuse me, to the folks that have already hosted it. Well done. Beth and Eileen, fabulous. Oh, good. Beth does it several times, several a day. Wonderful. So great job. And so for those that have not been doing it, right, you want to really, really get started doing this now. And I know Zoom's been in the news a lot. So if you've been watching the news, you probably noticed that Zoom is getting some bad press about privacy. They say they're doing things about it, but it is definitely the most popular one out there. But there are others like Google Hangouts, Meet, and there's WebEx and GoToMeeting and all sorts of other types of options. But whatever it is, make sure you're using something for some sort of video meetings, okay? You want to and you must learn how to use this. And the cool thing is you learn how to use it now. It can actually be a wonderful tool as you're moving forward when you have clients that can't come face to face, from out of town folks, for all people that are international wanting to move locally. You'll end up with some great opportunities for new tools that you can use moving forward in business as well. So, but right now it's critical. You have to learn how to host Zoom meetings if you don't know how to, because you want to be able to work virtually. As you probably learned, some people are not going to want to come in face-to-face right now. So that's important. Learning how to share screens is also important, and Zoom will let you do that, but there's other options as well. Because again, if you have a client or somebody who you can't be face-to-face with and you need to show them where they need to sign, how to sign the documents, what they need to do, you need to be able to learn how to share screens. And if you have a team, obviously you need to do that so that you can share with your team about how to do certain things, and it'll make your life so much easier if you know how to do that. If there's folks on here that have specific questions about how to do that, let me know. I can maybe put something together, like a tutorial video that shows you how to do the basics of it. So if there's interest in that, let me know and I'll put that together. Just type into the chat box or shoot me a message afterwards and let me know. And my email address is team@pinkymortgage.com. So it's team, TEAM, at PINKYMORTGAGE.com. So you can send me an email if you want to, or just post in here that you'd like some more details on how to do that. And then collaborative webinars. If you have not already started doing webinars and collaborative ones with your partners, your lender, your attorney, folks, if you have CPAs, financial planners, estate planning attorneys, even divorce attorneys, like those are great people to try and do collaborative webinars with, or even folks within your town, folks that are running businesses, your chamber folks. There's a whole bunch of people that you could be doing collaborative webinars with right now. And that's super important for you to be able to give consistent updates to your clients and to your prospects and to your sphere. So definitely look into doing that, because that's a way for you to be able to be present in a meaningful way to people right now. And then virtual happy hours. Has anyone hosted a virtual happy hour yet? Or attended a virtual happy hour? Yeah, Karen has. Okay, cool. So, so I see some folks have already been doing the virtual happy hours. Okay, cool. And the virtual happy hours, those of you that said yes, anyone hosted or everyone mostly attended? You can either put into the chat box or both. Okay, wonderful. So that's another fabulous app, and people are doing some great things with virtual happy hours. I keep seeing new people doing new things with it. Wonderful. So people have attended and hosted it. So you don't need me to tell you too much about it. But again, if you haven't, reach out to myself or someone that has, and we'll share some great things about it. But I've heard of now people bringing in a bartender in an effort to be able to give back to the community. And the bartender can share recipes and something, and they have like a Venmo or a PayPal set up, and they're making, people are giving tips to the bartender as a way to help them because they're not able to earn any income right now. So that's some great ways to be able to do something good for the community as well as for other people, and really just bring folks together. So if you haven't been doing that, host something for the people that are important to you, your clients, your sphere, your friends, your communities. It's a wonderful thing to do right now and necessary. And you can, and that I say happy hour, but you can keep doing that and take it into different places. We've been doing a whole lot of I'm a fitness, I'm into fitness myself. So we've been doing a whole lot of exercise classes online with folks and with groups that we hadn't done before. So we've expanded that way. And then I'm hearing about people playing games with their families online. So there's a whole lot of different things you can do, but you can do it with your community as well. Your people need you right now, okay? So whether you are, how many folks have a business that's based on referrals? Show of hands. If your business is mostly referrals, can you raise your hand? Okay. So I'm seeing quite a few hands raised for people whose business is all referral. Okay. So if your business is all referral, then 100% your clients need you, okay? Your people need you, and you need to focus first on the people that matter the most. And I said this before, you protect yourself, you protect your family and your loved ones, and then your clients and your partners, right? So if you have not already done this, make a list of your top 25. Make a list of your top 25 and then check in on them every week or every 2 weeks. And you can check in different forms. It doesn't always have to be a phone call. It can include, a text message or email. So it can include different forms of communication, but check in with them at least once a week or every 2 weeks for the top 25. And then you want to check in on everyone in your database as well. But you don't have to do that as often, of course. And top 25 can mean, you can define it how you like, but the concept is the people that are important to you, that have, that are the clients that you've really enjoyed working with, the clients that have given you the most referrals, the people that you know need you. So you can define your top 25 that way, of people that you want to really make an active effort to check in on. And that's where you want to spend your time, right? You're not able to spend as much time going out showing homes and on appointments and networking the way that you are. So you should have time on your hands to be able to do this right now. We should make this a priority. And then you can send a little handwritten note, a card, a joke, or something like that for these top 25 people too, right? Because they want something, inspire them, be a source of positivity for these people. Be a shining light and overwhelm them with confidence, right? They need you right now. So be there for them to help them through this tough time. And you guys have probably heard ABCs of real estate, right? Always be closing. I'm going to reframe that for you right now. And it's always be connecting. Right now, you want to always be connecting. And this isn't just simply an altruistic measure, by the way. Obviously, that's the primary focus right now. But what it also is when when the dust is settled on this, and people look back and they think, who was there for me? And then if you're the name that or at least one of the names that comes up for them, then when they need their next real estate transaction, or hear somebody that needs one, whose name is going to come up for them? And how big is it going to come up? And how is it going to come up in such a different way than it ever has, right? Because they're going to say, wow, Karen was a leader. Beth was a leader during this time when I needed, when I needed help. She helped me, she helped our community, and that's why I want to reach out to Beth, and that's why I want to be able to give her as many referrals as I can, because Beth was there for me. So it's a win-win situation when you can take care of people right now, because you will feel good doing it, they need you, and you will be able to reap the rewards later on as well. So, but it's not selling. You cannot be calling them right now to sell, right? But we can be calling them and checking in on them. And as you do that, by the way, if they have a need, if they are looking to buy or sell, because some people, as you know, do have a dire need and they need to still do it, right? And they're going to do it right now. But you probably noticed that a lot of people that were doing it casually or wanted to, though some of those have pulled back right now. So if there's a need, they're going to tell you that too. Or if they know somebody that has a need, they're going to connect with you as well. So it's for the future, but it's also for now. So then I said this before, but be the shining light, right? Overwhelm your sphere with confidence. People need hope. People need positivity. Be that source for them. Because remember, if you believe in your heart that we are going to get through this and we are not going to live in this world forever, share that with people, okay? And I hope you do. I 100% know that this is not the way that life is going to be for the rest of my breathing moments. I know that we're going to come through this and we're going to look back on this, and just like anything else, after you've faced an adversity, you come out stronger, you learn some things, and you come out better on the other end. And I know that that's going to be the case for all of us. And so if you feel the same way, go ahead and share that with people. Reframe their perspectives. Give them some reason to see the light and the hope in this. And then you can do it in a very meaningful way too, and have resources for them. And when you share the resources, make sure they're legitimate resources. We don't want to just share random things we see on social media. Make sure that the resources that you share are reliable resources. If the people haven't signed up for Nixle yet, make sure they sign up for Nixle, because that's important information that's coming direct from your townships. If people are asking about the stimulus package, right? Educate yourself a little bit about it and teach them where they can go on the IRS's website for this. And if you guys haven't already, by the way, take a look at the stimulus package and the payment protection program if you have a team or employees, and the SBA loan, right, which can apply to folks like yourself as independent contractors. And direct folks to these resources. And then the unemployment, right? Teach them where they can go to take care of that. You can share about different online grocery resources. And if you have any personal hacks, you can share them and say, this is what I've learned how to do, and this has helped me through it. So share information like that and be a resource to folks. And you can teach your clients, once you know how to use Zoom or how to share screens, once you've learned how to do those things, you can go ahead and teach that to your clients, because they'll need it for whatever they're doing. You may have elderly folks who don't know how to communicate with their children, and you can teach them how to FaceTime with their kids, and you can't even imagine how awesome it's going to be when you do that and open that up for somebody. So find ways to be a resource to them and whatever is meaningful to them in their life right now. I feel like in our roles, we interact with a whole lot of people all the time, and we have a responsibility right now to help as many people as we possibly can. We have to help our clients, and we have to be a resource for them. We have to be a shining light. So, take your responsibility seriously. So take care of yourself first. That's why I say that. You've got to protect yourself first so that you can go on and do this for other people. Now, when it comes to working, right? You're going to have to, with sellers and buyers, you're going to need to adjust your scripts, right? You're going to have to adjust your listing presentations, your buyer consults. We're in a little different environment, and so you have to adjust for the situation as it is. So it doesn't mean you can't do it, just make sure you adjust accordingly. Virtual tours and walkthroughs, of course, you probably know how to do this by this point and know that this is essential. So, and you can have, when you're doing a virtual tour, if you're doing one, and make sure you're talking to the camera as if you're talking to a prospective buyer, not like it's a recording. So walk them through as if you were walking a buyer through your listing, or one that you were going to see. So make sure you do it and talk to them as if they're a human being that's there with you. And you can even ask your sellers to do a virtual tour with prospects, right? So you can be the one that sets up the meeting and let them do it, so you don't have to go there. If you're, as I talk to different agents, you guys are across the spectrum. Some believe that they shouldn't go out at all, and some believe that they should. So I'm not going to tell you what's right or wrong there, but wherever you are, find what works for you. And whatever you are, obviously just be safe and be careful. And And then digital open houses are a great idea. Has anyone done a digital open house tour yet? Raise your hands if you've done a digital open house tour. Okay, so we've got a couple folks that have done that already. So that's pretty cool. So you can do one, and if you want to share with other folks, you're welcome to share in the comments a little bit about how you've done that. But I know the way that I've seen it done and seen other classes that I've seen on this topic, you can use social media to do it, right? You can go live and do an open house that way. You can use Zoom. And when Zoom, for those of you that have learned the ins and outs, so that they have little breakout rooms. So you can have a breakout room for multiple properties if you happen to have multiple properties. And then you can have a lender in a room, and you can have your attorney in a room to answer questions. So you could do different breakout rooms and do multiple open houses at one time. And you can have waiting rooms so that you can have people, when you're having a conversation with a particular client, you don't have to have someone, someone else won't be in that room with you at the same time. So you can have private conversations. So use the tools that are available right now so that you can get in front of people and still help your sellers sell their homes and help your buyers buy homes in those ways. So definitely take advantage of digital open houses if you haven't done those. And then, some folks just are not ready to let people into the house right now. So you probably know there's going to be pent up demand for listings, right? Our problem before we got into this was limited inventory. But as soon as we come out of it, there's going to be some pent up demand for people that just are waiting for this to be over to put their house on the market. So you can have conversations with people and help them prepare their homes for sale, right? You can view their homes virtually, start working out some of the details of it, help them, give them tips on how to prepare, declutter, stage. I mean, I've seen people do that where they're literally on their phone and they're walking them through the house and saying, move this here, do this. They have them talking to stagers, or they're doing it themselves, depending on who it is. So you can have all that stuff be done, and people have time. So they can take care of those little house projects if they want, do the decluttering. I mean, I think half people are decluttering right now anyway, right? So it's a good time to take advantage of getting your sellers prepped and for that. And you'll probably find that there's a handful of folks that right now are finding that they don't necessarily love their quarters, right? Because they're like, oh, we really need a bigger space after this time. So there should be some pent up demand, and you want to be the one that they reach out to when this is through. And same thing with potential buyers. You help them get ready for being able to buy a house. Make sure they've had their mortgage consult, they've figured out what, cleaned up their credit, maybe started exploring neighborhoods if they weren't sure what towns they want to be in. And when I say explore neighborhoods, people are going out for drives. You can still do that, right? As long as you're in your car, not talking to people or engaging six foot distance. So folks can start exploring neighborhoods. They can explore them online, explore school districts online. They can start doing some of that so they can narrow down their focus. So again, when they are ready to go out, they can do that. So definitely help take advantage of the tools available right now for the people that are active, and then get yourself set up to be able to take advantage of the people that are going to come into the market as this is over. Housing market will be strong. Remember, this is not an economic crisis. This is not the housing issue that happened back in 2008. This is different. So the housing market is expected to stay strong. I've been listening to a lot of economists, and they all say the same thing, is that we're expecting strong numbers coming out of this. So be there and be the one that gets to take advantage and help folks at that time. And I've seen this put together. I just shared it with you, but you probably have all put something together like this. And this is from somebody that wasn't in the New Jersey area, but you can put, if you are showing properties, make sure that you're taking care for yourself. And then as far as your marketing goes, right? Make sure that you are leaning into your strengths and your passions right now. It's a great opportunity to develop that and think about what you're better at than anybody else, and use that. Make that your focus over the next couple of weeks, and see how you can develop your marketing around that. Because it's an amazing opportunity to find people that are like-minded like you, for you to be able to develop and do something that you love and turn that into business. So definitely lean into your strengths, because that's what's going to help guide you, and it's going to make you feel good. It's going to give you fulfillment, and it's going to give you joy, and it will lead to dollars. So definitely work on that. And then review and update your social media profiles right now if you haven't already. If you don't have profiles and you wanted to get onto some social media platform, now is a wonderful time to do that. Everybody's living there right now. Review and update your websites, any online marketing you have going on. Make sure you're updating all of that. Develop any new skills, scripts, or strategies. Again, if there's something that you always wanted to learn, now is a great time to do that. And make sure you time block for these activities, and you're planning time to do that. Take advantage of this time. It's an opportunity for you to develop some of the things that you wanted to do that have not had time to do. And you know, come up with your detailed marketing plan and campaigns, okay? Social media, you want to be on it. If you're not, now that's where, as I said, the hours that people are spending on social media right now is incredible. So you want to, content is being absorbed there. Everyone is clicking on things they may not have clicked on before because they have a few, you know, they have more time. So make sure that you're there, give consistent market updates to your clients and prospects, be a source of positivity and helpful information, and make a social media calendar if you haven't. You can make one right now for this time period that can potentially be used for the long run. So again, you're setting yourself up for success for the long run by doing a lot of these things as well. And be a creator of content. Video is amazing, and it really, really helps. People tend to watch more than they tend to read. We all have short attention spans these days. So people tend to gravitate more towards video than they do towards a lot of words. And then create a Facebook group. That is a wonderful opportunity right now to bring people together. So whatever your interest is in, remember I said before, lean into your strength. It can be business related or it cannot be. If you happen to be somebody that loves sewing, for example, right now there's, you know, big initiatives to go sew masks. You can create a Facebook group about sewing masks. If you are creative and you enjoy crafting, you can, you know, put together a group that talks about crafting, and it could be something that you're all doing right now, like everyone share craft all the time. So there's different things you can do, whatever your interest or passion is. Neither of those are mine, by the way. I just happened to pick those, but those are different ideas of what's, if you can ideally create a Facebook group that you can carry forward past this, that would be fabulous. Because now you've got one more way for you to be connecting with people, and you've got one more way to be engaging with people and finding people that like what you like. I think that's so important to attract the type of people that have similar interests to you, because then business just becomes so much fun. So definitely work on that, and set a schedule for yourself for posting, for commenting, if you have a Facebook group, for moderating, because as I said before, you do want to limit your social media consumption. So including the work time on social media, because it's easy to go on for work and then get distracted and go, you know, look at all the other things that you didn't want to be doing. So make sure you have a schedule for yourself and you're still limiting the time that you spend on social media. And then I said profit, right? That was my third P. So when it comes to profit, you know, we're still at the place where it might get worse before it gets better. So when I talk about profit, what I mean by that is that obviously transactions are decreased right now. Social distancing is going to do that, right? For most individuals. So you want to curb your expenses. Again, I hope that you've done this already, but if you have not, make sure you go and you check out all your personal expenses, check all your professional expenses, all your monthly subscriptions. Maybe you subscribed to something that seemed like it was a wonderful idea, or it was an okay idea, and maybe the okay idea thing is not really relevant right now, or never really was wonderful, so it's a good time to get rid of it. So go back and conserve cash to give yourself the longest runway possible. Because remember, the business that we're in, the new leads that are coming, you're probably not putting as much into the top of your funnel, right? You may have things that are closing right now and into next month that were deals that were put into place before, but you're not likely writing as many contracts these days as you were or would have expected to be in the month of April. So you'll end up seeing a little bit of a hit as we get a couple months down the road. So, so definitely make sure that you are conserving your cash so that it, you know, will last you for the longer term. Because what you want to do is you want to be around for the recovery. This is a temporary period of pain. You're going to get through this. We must survive this to be able to be around for the recovery, because remember, the recovery is going to be pretty darn good and you want to be here for it. So make sure that you're setting yourself up for success through this time period. And then I wanted to just share with you a little bit about what's going on in the mortgage world. So rates are highly volatile right now. They were really, really good, as you probably know. Last month we hit record lows and then they jumped right back up. We've actually reached a little stability. We haven't seen the craziness in the last week or so, But generally speaking, they're pretty volatile. So I'm asking as a lender, and for all the lenders out there, please don't quote rates. Let us do that because they are changing. So I'm going to ask that you let the lenders be the ones that quote the rates. You can generally have a conversation with folks and your clients when you're reaching out to them saying that rates are great. And here, please call my trusted, mortgage professional. So definitely worth having the conversation, but don't quote specifics. And then, check in with your lenders and other partners right now because it's tough in the lending world as well. We've had a lot of changes going on in our world. Some companies, unfortunately, are not surviving what's going on here. So some maybe hopefully all people that you trust are doing fine, but there's definitely some companies that are not thriving right now and are probably going to have to fold. But stricter guidelines. So check on your partners if you can. Stricter guidelines are already coming. They're in place. You'll probably notice that credit scores are increasing a little bit for FHA loans. There's different things that are happening. So for appraisals, so the good news is that in the situation we're in right now, appraisals, they're allowing for desktop appraisals on conventional FHA and VA have all allowed for desktop appraisals in most circumstances. So that's a blessing so that we can limit the social interaction. And then you'll just have to watch the appraisals as they come in. Their verification of employments are being done more often. I know here at Fairway, we are doing a verification of employment 24 hours before closing now because people are losing jobs at a rapid rate. I didn't see what today's initial unemployment numbers came in at, but initial claims number, but we know that over the past 2 weeks, 10 million people filed for the first time for unemployment. So we have to be really careful of that in the mortgage world, making sure that the folks are still employed by the time we get to closing. So we are adding that layer in. IRS is not doing tax transcripts anymore for third parties. So we're asking folks now here at Fairway, again, we are allowing for individuals to be able to pull their own tax transcript, which the IRS is still allowing. So some modifications being made in that way as well. But the biggest thing for you to be aware of is that the folks that were riskier, that were barely making it, those folks are gonna have a harder time getting a mortgage right now. The down payment assistance programs, those are probably gonna have to take a little temporary hiatus as well. They're not all officially gone, but most lenders don't want to deal with them right now either. So either they're gonna go away because the townships can't spend the money on it, and or the lenders don't have an appetite for it right now as well. And similarly, jumbos, people are having a little bit more, aversion to those, as well as all the riskier loans like the bank statement programs and things like that. So just, the folks that are the clean vanilla, those folks are gonna have no problem buying a house and we're gonna be fine. But it's the folks that are on the periphery that might have a little bit of a challenge ahead. But what we're doing for folks is helping them get ready. We have a platform called Art of Homeownership that helps educate people and get them ready. So we're doing that and helping folks get ready if they don't currently qualify in today's environment, but they may as soon as things go back to normal. So on that same note, review your pre-approved clients. If you have folks that are actively looking, direct them to go back to their lender to have a conversation so they can check in and make sure that they are still qualified right now. Unfortunately, we've had a couple that were qualified that are no longer with the new guidelines in place. So make sure that you go back and advise your actively looking clients to have their numbers looked at again by their lender. And make sure that the lender that you're working with or the lender that your client is working with is financially sound, okay? Because you wanna make sure that they're gonna be around to be able to get through to closing. And then if you're hearing questions about mortgage forbearance, the two things I wanna make sure that you know. First of all, forbearance does not equal forgiveness. So it does not mean that you just don't have to make payments. It means what forbearance actually is, right? And for those, I'm sure you've all heard that part of the CARES package is that they're allowing for mortgage forbearance for 90 days to 180 days. And the other thing is that I'm hearing a lot of, oh, well, it'll be tacked on to the end of the mortgage. That is not the case. And this is not up to each servicer or lender to decide, because I heard yesterday also some agents told me that they heard Bank of America was doing that. It's not up to the servicer. This is something that Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, like that's something that they're doing, Ginnie Mae. So it's not up to Bank of America to decide how they're going to do that. So forbearance means that you don't have to, they're starting with 90 days. And it means that you can either have a reduced payment or no payment during the forbearance period. So if we break that down, if you have forbearance and if you're in a forbearance plan and your mortgage payment is $2,000 a month, and you missed 3 months of payments, that's $6,000. And you had 90 days to do that, then in month 4, that $6,000 is due, as well as your month 4 of payment. So basically $8,000. The average person, they've gone through this, are not going to be able to pay $8,000 at that time. So there's other things that lenders are doing to help them in that situation. They've got a repayment plan that they can do where they say, okay, we understand you owe $6,000. We're going to have you spread it out over a year, and you're going to pay, $200 a month in addition to your mortgage payment each month. So they might have that as an option. They might have a deferment, which is almost like another loan that they put on top of it for that amount that they're going to have to pay back over a different period of time. So that's another way. And then the last option is a loan modification. A loan modification is where they're actually modifying the terms of the original instrument, the mortgage instrument that was recorded. And this is a last resort. We don't want people to be in this position, because that means that it's, as I said, it's going to be extending the term. It's going to be a bad situation. And what happens is, when that happens, it's almost treated, generally at least, it's treated like a short sale or a foreclosure. So that means their ability to go out and buy a home in the future is going to be limited. Their ability to take advantage of the low rates that we're expecting to come is going to be limited. So, with the refinance. So we want to really, if you're advising your clients, the first thing I would say is tell them if they can make the payment, they should. So if they have any ability to make a payment, they should. This is not for people who are worried that they might not be able to make the payments, or people who think that they can just take advantage of like skipping a mortgage payment and getting a free lunch. This is not for those. This is for people that truly are in need, right? There's no, and when I say this, I mean it because it's for the benefit of the individual, because there's no checks going in place. No one, like you could have an ER doc who's clearly employed right now and making money, go in and apply for forbearance and it be granted, because they're not checking to see if you truly need it or not. But he's not going to benefit by doing this because he's going to have a huge sum due, as I just explained, a few months later, right? So only the people that truly need it should take advantage of this. So what you want to advise them is that only do it if it's needed. If it's needed, contact your servicer. You are not allowed to just stop making the payments. You absolutely have to contact the servicer first. So make sure that they're contacting their servicer first. And then the other thing is, make sure that they're asking them a question of what happens after the forbearance period is over. That's a key question, because people, again, just think that it's going to be added at the end of the loan. And you want to make sure that they realize that that's not how it works. And ask them that question of what are my options after the forbearance period is over, so they can ask that right question so they can get the answer. You don't need to be the expert on it, but if you can at least guide your clients to be able to ask the right questions and to make sure that you're at least putting them in the right direction, then you're going to be in a better position. So I wanted to share that with you. They are suppressing negative credit reporting. So if someone is in forbearance, part of the CARES Act is that they are supposed to report them as making normal payments. Evictions and foreclosures have been suspended. There's a moratorium on them for the next 60 days. So if you weren't aware of that, that's also the case. And then the other thing is that please note that financial institutions are facing more calls. These lenders and servicers are getting more calls than they've ever had in their life. And this is something new for them as well, because they also are just learning how to deal with it. So the call times are going to be kind of long. So if your clients can do things online, that's great. But just remember to tell them to have a little grace and be patient as you're making these phone calls. So I'm going to wrap up by just reminding you that there are things that you can control. There's a lot of things that are out of our control right now. And I fully believe that we should focus on the things that we can control. So focus on your attitude, excuse me, limiting social media, finding ways to have fun, being kind and great, and having grace, and exercise and meditation. This is the thing about a webinar. I'm not used to be the one that talks nonstop all this time, so I had to get a water break in. And then the other thing is Charles Darwin. I love this quote, and I think it's very applicable right now. But it's not the strongest of the species that survives, but it's the most adaptable to change. So make sure that you are nimble and adaptable right now. That is going to serve you exceptionally well. I see a question here. Have you heard any restrictions on landlords not being allowed to renew a lease? Landlord wants to sell rather than renew the lease. No, I haven't heard any restrictions about them not being allowed to renew the lease. I have heard that they're not allowed to evict, but nothing that says that they are forced to have to renew it. So if they want to sell, I believe they're still allowed to sell, Beth. So thanks for asking that question. I can take a deeper look if you want into the CARES Act, so let me know, but I'm pretty sure I know that I haven't seen that written anywhere. Any other questions right now? No? Okay. Well, thank you all for being here. This is my contact information. If you have any questions, you need anything, feel free to reach out. We are all in this together, and I want to be a part of helping you get through this. So reach out to me. I'm happy to help in any way that I can, whether you just need a smile or you need someone to talk to, or you need some actual logistical advice. We're happy to help you. My team and I are here, and we'd love to help in any capacity that we can. Let me know if you have any questions, and definitely share a little feedback if you can. Would love to hear how this was. And if you have any other content that you're looking to learn about, I'm happy to share that. So thank you to CORE and Women's Council Realtors. I'm not sure which group that you guys are all here from, but appreciate you being here. And thank you to those organizations for inviting me to be a speaker here. Thank you. Thank you for the comments. I appreciate it. All right, I'll stick around for a little bit.